So Michelin told me, that, you see what's our organization is. We understood this very quickly. We understood that what is important in an organization is to help people achieve self-fulfillment, to help people be in the place where they have to be, to help people know their own talent, their own greatness. So in our organization, when people come to us and ask us, what's going to happen with me in 5 years? Will I have a career with you? We tell them, no idea. You come from Harvard, that's good. But we have no idea who you are really. And you probably don't even know who you are. So we're going to test you. We're going to put you in very different circumstances in order to help you understand who you are. And we as an organization also want to know who you are. And we are going to put you, in the end of the day, in the place to whom you belong, where you can be creative, when you could be a real, I would say, where you have to be for the organization. So the question is this one: how do you produce people like Marius Mignot? In the end of the day, told me Michelin, what's important in an organization is not the capital, it's not the instrument, they are human beings. Without Mignot, we are nothing. We're nothing, we don't exist. So how do you produce people like him? You have to have humility. You have to have the humility to have a desire and in practice to serve the others, to bring out greatness in them. Because he said, people is the key aspect of a development of an organization over the long term. So leadership is really about that, about people, about helping them develop, about making them very creative, happy in their works, even if sometimes it doesn't happen like that, but help them achieve self-fulfillment. This is magnanimity and humility. You see, it's affirmation of your own greatness and of the greatness of the others. People who are magnanimous, they will not tell you, well, this is right, this is wrong. They will tell you, well, this is great, this is small. It's a way of life. It's a way of perceiving yourself and perceiving the others. Of course, in your magnanimity, there is a truth, there is goodness. But it's not enough for you to say that's good and that's bad. There are millions of people who think in terms of good and bad. A magnanimous soul doesn't think in terms of good and bad. He assumes that he's on the good path. But for him, what's important here in the good path, the path of virtue, what's important for him is greatness. And if it's not great, it's small. And for him, it's wrong. It's another way of seeing life. It's not the base way of seeing life. It's magnanimity. It is the highest way of seeing life, to interpret life. When you see vices, you don't say that's wrong. You say that's small. And young people understand this language. Young people, very often my students, don't understand the language of right and wrong. But if you tell them that's small, say, I got the point. You see the difference. I got the point. Young people very often are examples of magnanimity, because Aristotle tells us magnanimity is the virtue of the youth, because they have no past and they have an incredible future. And magnanimity is the virtue of hope, of human hope. So it is natural that young people have human hope. If they don't have, it's a catastrophe. Old people, they have a tendency to look back, and they want to have a quiet life in the end of their days. So they don't want to be entrepreneurs in the end of their days. That's why Aristotle says, well, magnanimity is the virtue of the youth. What do we mean by this? We mean by this not that the youth is always magnanimous. I know many young people who are absolutely not magnanimous. I have seen people 15, 16 years old, they're already dead, almost before being born. For different reasons. They are not magnanimous at all. They are small-minded, pusillanimous, as we say. And you see people 80, 90 years old, incredibly magnanimous. They still look toward the future. They have hope of what they can do. And they don't look back. They look towards the future, what they can achieve yet, greatness. It's because they are young. Their magnanimity produces youth. So when we say that magnanimity is the virtue of the youth, we don't mean that the youth is magnanimous, but that magnanimous people are always young. Magnanimous people are always young at heart and in spirit. Always. They have a mentality of the youth. Even if they are 92 or 95 years old, they live as if they would not have had any past, only future. It's the virtue, says Aristotle, of hope. Human hope. And for this, you need to be aware of your talents. You need to be aware of those gifts that you have. A magnanimous person, he will put much more emphasis on developing the gifts that he has than on trying to control the defects that he has. Because the defect that he has, he will try to control them, of course. But he understands, I will not make a difference in humanity. My contribution to humanity is not going to be in my defects. My contribution to humanity is going to be in my strength. But my strength, in order to be a contribution, has to be extraordinary strength. So I have to multiply it. And this is what we see in great leaders. They focus on that strength that they have, specific strength that they have, in order to make a big difference, to change something. This is very important. And forget very often about them. You cannot forget about your miseries, about your defects. You have to control them. But you have to know you are not going to build on them. You are going to build the strength that you have. And for this you have to be awareness of your own gifts. Very young people have no idea about what their gifts are because they have not tried enough. You need to try things. You need people around, friends, good friends, people who love you and tell you, this is you. This, forget it. You will never become a singer. You don't know how to sing. But this is you. Business is your stuff. We need people around that tells us what are our strengths. And we must not be afraid of knowing our strength. So now we're going to finish very soon, to this thing of the relation between temperament and virtue. Because all of us here are different people. Some here are hot-blooded. Others are timid. And you can say, I am timid, then I am limited. Or you can say, I'm hot-blooded, then I am super limited. I cannot control myself. Finns are shy. Argentinians are hot-blooded. In general, but you can find a lot of Finns that are not shy, and you can find a lot of Argentinians that are not at all hot-blooded. So it's just general. How do you make the relation between your character and temperament? This is very important. Robert Schuman, the founder of the European Union, knew something very good about himself. By biology, I am timid. So how do I deal with this? He understood what we're speaking about here. He knew it much better than I. And he thought, if I am timid, shy, I have to develop courage. I have to develop in myself a second nature that will compensate my timidity. And I will develop courage. And every time he had to make a decision, he thought like this. Robert, remember, you're Hamlet by biology. Hamlet was a guy who was always missing information. He thought, I don't have any information to make a decision. So Hamlet is a tragedy of indecisiveness. So Schumann, he thought like this, I am Hamlet. Good, this is my biology. How do I compensate this? By making a decision in time. Every time he had to make a decision, he thought, I am Hamlet, Robert, make a decision before the end of the day. He was making an effort. He was demanding from himself. And he's the one who made that beautiful decision of the creation of the European Union in a time when nobody wanted it. Everybody was afraid of that. The courageous ones, by nature, I would say those hot-blooded people, were unable to make a decision. And the one who did the decision was a shy personality.